Hey, sorry guys. Before we start, I just want to say, in the video, I didn't know that you couldn't hear me talking in there, so I apologize about that. I really wish you guys could have heard me in there, cause I don't remember a lot of it, what I said exactly, and yeah, I apologize about it. I'll try to do better in the future. I hope y'all enjoy the video though.
Two verses out of context and
What chapter?
intentionally. Leviticus chapter 25, they're going to rip out verse 44 and 46, which is in an entire paragraph. The context of this would give you the information behind it. You're trying to denote chattel slavery, which it would be totally different than. And I've debunked this argument so many times in so many different ways. But let's go. Give your claim. Mm-hmm. 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 It also includes the foreigner and the foreigner's children and the pagan. There's three different people. There's the Israelites, there's the foreigner among them, and the foreigner's children. Oh, sorry, more than one group of people. Three groups of people: the slave, sorry, the Israelites, the foreigner, and the pagan foreigner. But they would be on the same foreigner. The pagan foreigner. I know what you're talking about. We read the whole thing. I just said there's three groups. There's the slave that is the Israelite, the slave that is the foreigner, and the slave that is the pagan. They're still talking about three, even in those two verses. You don't have a separation. Yeah, you're specifically ripping out the one category of that are of the three that are in those two verses. Yeah, I know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want to know why?
Okay, so I'm sorry you guys. I'm really sorry you guys can't hear what I was saying, but basically there I was asking him, since this says that one group of people may be treated as slaves and the other you may not rule over the other with harshness, does that mean we went over the definition of justice, which is treating people fairly and equally and stuff like that? And I asked them, since it says one people group may be treated as slaves, but the other may not be treated harshly, is that go along with the definition of justice and treating people equally and fairly? And he said yeah to that. And he said it again when we were talking about the Exodus 21:7 thing. So yeah.
No. You don't want the reason to be shown? Really? So the sons of Israel did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He says it right here. Stranger as well as native have the same law. One standard. And it's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, etc., etc. But go ahead. No, they're under the same law. I just read you the law. Why? You would have to show where your side actually works though. Biblically, you tried to proof text two verses out of an entire passage and an entire book, to be honest, and then tried to make an assertion on it that the book doesn't hold to. And then when I called out that assertion that you were making, you said, okay, well, I'm just going to run to a different book. I can show you that where it says the same thing in Exodus too, by the way. So you're conceding that this wasn't the same. They had the same law they were following. If you say no, you would have to substantiate that with the Bible that you're using.
And just to be clear, his point was basically Yes, it's all within the law. It's all within the law of Moses, so therefore it's not a different standard. But if you look with, I was saying the whole time, if you look within the law of Moses, yes, I agree that the law of Moses applies equally. But if you look within the law of Moses, it has standards in there that are not equal. And that's basically his point. His point was that, well, it's under the law of Moses, so therefore it's equal. Like, just saying stupid stuff. So right there, I basically just asked him, uh, if I say no, then will we have to stick to this topic, or can we just move on to the next topic? And he said no. So I just said sure, just so we can move on to the next topic that I conceded. But I obviously don't actually concede.
Specifically. Okay, appreciate it. You don't believe that they had different laws. Let's get to the next one. Exodus 21. Oh my goodness, this is sad. This becomes very sad. Exodus 21 verses 7 through 8, and you're gonna try to point out specifically the daughters and the man who comes without a wife and is given a wife, and then he is allowed to leave. That's what you're gonna point out. Watch, guarantee it. You're gonna say no, but Exodus 21, that's the verse. Watch. 7. Now, if a man sells his daughter as a female slave, she is not to go free as the male slaves do. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He does not have the authority to sell her to a foreign people because of his unfairness to her. What's your point here? And then verse 6 says permanently, or verse 5 says permanently. I know this argument. Go ahead. No. Not at all. So can you substantiate why it would be? You see how every time I say no, you collapse because you don't have an actual argument for this. Because the reason I can say no is the verses right after gives her the rights. So I'm lost. What's the difference? What is the difference of rights that they have here specifically? Can you show me that? Yeah. As the males do. What do you mean? Free to go out and do what? No.
Okay, so basically this next part is just him trying to act like he knows Hebrew, going over the word ebed, which means servant. And Hebrew means servant, bondsmaid, and things like that. Little does he know, those words, the Hebrew word ebed, also refer to indentured servitude, but it also can refer to chattel slavery, just like it's used in Leviticus 25:44-46, which is undeniably chattel slavery. So his whole argument falls apart there. And also, I'm gonna leave in a little bit of his bickering. Sorry, I got something there. I'm gonna leave in a little bit of his bickering just to show y'all his like smug attitude throughout the whole time that was just so annoying. I'm gonna just let y'all see a little bit of it.
So that would automatically break the first understanding of what that word slave is in the English definition. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve you for 6 years, but on the 7th he shall go free with you as a free man without payment to you. That means he owes you no money. Okay, awesome. This is a right, number one. Okay, let's keep going. If he comes alone, he shall leave alone. If he is a husband of a wife, she shall leave with him. Oh, another right? Oh my gosh, that's two. If his master gives him a wife, she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall leave alone. Another right? Oh man, that's what, 3 now? If the man sells his daughter as a female slave, she is not to go free as slaves do. Another choice. That in it, another right. Okay, if she is displeasing. Oh, here's the woman's rights right here. Let's keep going. You speak too soon. Stop celebrating before I finish. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. What does this word redeemed mean? Oh buddy, there's another right coming. I believe it's another right coming. Let's see. Welcome to the brutalized world that wasn't America. You didn't have that choice. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. To ransom, redeem, rescue, deliver, to ransom, to be ransomed, to allow one to be ransomed, to redeem. Okay, so you can redeem somebody. So okay, great. I can't redeem you if you're nothing. So that means she had a right to be redeemed. So then it says, if he designates her for his son, and he shall deal with her according to the customs of her daughter. So she becomes a daughter. Now she gains kinsmanship rights. Now if he takes himself another woman, he may not reduce her food or her clothing or her conjugal rights. So she has rights again. But if he will not do these three things for her, then she shall go free for nothing without payment of money. Awesome.
Sorry guys, I don't remember exactly what I said in this part, but I know he was talking about like the female slaves having rights, and I think I asked him something like, what rights does she have in this one? Does she have the right to leave? Like, does she have the right to just say, I don't want to do this anymore and just leave right now? Or does she only have the quote unquote right after the husband doesn't want her anymore because he wants another woman or something like that? So, like I said, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think that's what I was saying here.
What rights? What choice? According to this day and age. Yeah, if he mistreats her, of course. She would be. It was better for her to be this than to have no man cover over her. You do realize that, right? Of the time and day and age you're talking to. No, it's not 2026. Yes, she does have the right to leave. No, if the man mistreats her, she can leave. It says, let's look at it one more time. If he will not do these things for her, then she shall go free for nothing without payment of money. If he himself takes another woman, which means he doesn't want her anymore, he may not reduce her conjugal rights, her food, or her clothing. This has nothing about him not wanting her no more, therefore she must go free. It says if he wants another woman, he still has to provide for her, and he cannot reduce what he was already paying for her. Do you realize that as a woman back in that day and age, if you had no man protecting you, you would die? Because you couldn't fend for yourself, you couldn't hunt for yourself, you couldn't do anything for yourself as a woman back in that day and age, and how brutal and harsh it was. Actually, you were better off and had more protection as a woman under a man in that brutalistic society. Now you're only saying what you're saying because you live in a Western society where you have these so-called rights, but yet the rights protect you more than they protect anybody else. So what are we talking about?
Like I said, I don't remember exactly what I was asking him and stuff. But I think in this part I might have said, why didn't God protect them? If God is so loving and stuff, why would he let these women suffer and go into slavery and oppression? Why wouldn't he just save them?
You do realize this is the best. This would be like America back then. You do realize that, right? The laws, this would be like America to them that day and age, brother. This was a great establishment of a law compared to every other society that exists in that day and age. She wouldn't have had nothing, no right whatsoever, none of the people or anything of that nature. So like if you right now, I don't know if you're a woman or male, but it sounds like you're a woman or close to such, or male. Okay, sorry, you have a very feminine tone of voice. I didn't want to mean that you were a woman. And then it's like the pink screen and all of that. It just stereotyped you. I apologize. But anyway, so you as a male can't be talking about the woman's right, because if you travel anywhere else that isn't America, they're treated with less everything than they are in America. You can only say what you're saying because of America. Not the topic, same topic. Not switching the topic, same topic. I didn't switch the topic. It's the same topic. Just make sure your brain still functions as we talk. So you can see again. Okay, great. So I'm right again. Let's keep going.
Again, like I said earlier, I just conceded a bunch of stuff to him because, first of all, it's his life. So at any time, if he doesn't like my response, I'm figuring like he could just kick me out if I say something he doesn't like. And also, I don't want to keep. If I would have just keep saying I don't concede, then I just would have kept repeating the same point over and over again, and he just would have kept saying the same stupid stuff over and again. So I just kept saying, okay, yeah, I concede.
Oh my gosh. The consensual versus grape is 28 versus 25 to 28 is what you're most likely gonna go to. So verse 22, you're gonna go verse 22 down?
Which one? Which chapter?
13, 13 to 9, Deuteronomy 22. Laws on morality? Oh my goodness. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. You just handed me the dubs.
So in this section, I believe I asked them that the evidence that they were looking for was blood on the cloth, right? I think that's what I asked them.
The cloth that showed her virginity. By the way, guys, I'm using Claude AI, so you guys know what I'm using right now. In Deuteronomy 22, 13 to 22, the cloth, the bed sheet, represents the physical evidence of virginity, specifically bloodstains from wedding night. In ancient Israel custom, the cloth was kept as proof that the bride had been a virgin at marriage. The blood resulting from the first actual intercourse was the token of virginity. So specifically, when you're a virgin and you have for all my kids out there, turn your ears off. I don't think I have any kids that watch me anyway, but specifically when you're a virgin, you have your hymen and you have the thing called intercourse. Again, for educational purposes only. TikTok, please don't ban me. There is a breaking of that which causes a bleeding that goes on the body of the person and the garments of the person. So no, garments the person is on. So they kept that bedcloth to show that there was bleeding that happened during this act, which would demonstrate that the hymen was in place. But again, they're not scientists, so they had a barbaric way of showing it because they're not scientists like modern day to go and put the claw machine and look in there to see if it's still intact and all. You know, they don't have all that. So this is the way that they did it. Again, this is a brutal barbaric world that we're talking about.
Okay, so he admits that this way, first of all, that's not true that all women's hymens break when they lose their virginity, because throughout their life, women do multiple things that can break their hymen before they lose their virginity. They can be doing sports, they can be riding a bike, they can trip and fall on something, so this way of checking for virginity, first of all, is faulty. And second of all, we know for a fact, scientific fact, that not all, like I just said, not all women bleed when they lose their virginity. And he just admitted that this was barbaric and the way they were doing it was barbaric and stuff like that. So he's basically admitting without knowing that he's admitting it, that God is barbaric like a Bronze Age man, which coincidentally just so happens to look like that's what the book was written by. It looks like it was written by Bronze Age men instead of an all-knowing God. Isn't that a crazy coincidence?
Yeah, from what they knew. You have instances where hymens are like broken and things of that nature, but it's more common than, because again there was more stuff for women to ride and like bicycles and all this extra stuff and all that, and then it can happen by accident, like being blunt force to that area can cause the hymen to break and all that extra stuff, and then it's pretty common of a thing for a woman to bleed when having this in this type of relation. Yes.
So even he himself just admitted it, that not all women bleed, not all women bleed their first time, but he's still gonna go on with this stupid talking point about how even though not all women bleed, and God should know that because he's like all knowing, it still wasn't bad because God is special. God can do stupid things and evil things, and it's okay because he's special.
This law is of man.
And then he goes on this stupid talking point about how this law is from man. And I tried to tell him multiple times, like, this is a Mosaic law. This is Moses giving laws from God. Like, yes, they had this as a law in ancient Israel because they believed it was from God. So it's a Mosaic law from God. But he just keeps going on this stupid talking point about how it's a man-made law. So I don't know.
This is according to their customs. Is this a part of the Mosaic laws? If you want to say so, sure. If you want to say so, sure. If it says it's a law that he's supposed to be giving out to Israel, if it's a if it's a law that he's supposed to be telling Israel to follow by, of course. Not necessarily, no. I just explained to you. These are laws that they already had. He's giving them a framework of these things. These are laws that they had.
He just told you it's a cultural custom. Nowhere in there does it says it came from God.
The custom that they had specifically dealt with you had to be a virgin at marriage. What you're about to do is, oh, because God gave the law, he should have known that there was a better way to do this. But then, sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, not ma'am, sir. Dude, I don't know why I do that to people. I always misappropriate. Sorry, sir. According to them, they don't have the forensic scientific tools to do down in depth FBI research, so he's giving them a way to have evidence that can't be denied, because this God understands that pro and via the human being he created, when you have this hymen, if it's broken, there is blood that comes from that.
And then here's what the funny part, where I was saying, y'all can't hear it, but I was saying, yes, that's exactly my point. Because we know that they didn't know science or biology, so they didn't know that not all women bleed when they lose their virginity and stuff like that. Like, he's just making my point for me, but at the same time still trying to claim God made this. Like, which one is it? Is it human error or is it God error? Like, it can't be both at the same time. He's doing a contradiction.
40 to 50% of women modern day don't bleed. About 40 to 50% of women. So you have a 50-50 chance, or you have a 40-60 chance of 60 chance of bleeding, or a 40% chance of not bleeding, or a 50-50 chance, and that's modern day. Their bodies were different back in the day. Oh my gosh, brother. Obviously not, goofball. Obviously not. Every woman didn't bleed.
See the mental gymnastics and the contradiction he's putting himself through? He just said, yeah, it was different back then, but now at the same time he's saying, yes, obviously not all women bled back then. Which one is it? Pick one. He can't even keep up with his own cognitive dissonance lies.
Again, where did God say that? Where did God say that? You think you eating something right now, but ain't nothing on the fork. Again, where did God say that? Again, where did God say that? Because you have man-made laws and God laws.
Again, can't keep up with their own cognitive dissonance lies. Which one is it? Is it a God error or is it a human error? Like, it was just so frustrating. Y'all can't imagine how frustrating it was in real time. Like, it was even worse than Eli. Even with his idiotic stuff, he wasn't this stupid. Well, actually, I take that back. It was just as stupid as Eli.
That's how you test their virginity. Because you have man-made laws and God laws. It's two different things. It's not one and the same. Oh Lord, where did God say it?
Oh, it's
You're
so
talking
boring.
about like it's literally just it's what they did. That's their custom. God didn't tell them to do it.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna put it one
No,
more
it's not.
time.
Where does it say? Like Jen,
I'm gonna say it one more time for you. One more time for you. I'm gonna say this. They don't have the forensic science or the knowledge of these things yet to prove this. If God tells them that, hey, let's just think logically for a second. I'm not going to tell you what God thinks, but I'm just going to think from a logical perspective. If God tells them that, hey, not all women actually bleed the first time during intercourse, how are they going to be able to prove to know how this functions? Because according to this hymen that's in the body, it's in the canal. If it's not actually broken because it's thin and it's elastic and it can be stretched out a little bit so it doesn't always break, they're not going to bleed the very first time of intercourse, etc. So you can't you gotta wait a couple times. You gotta do a couple. No, but that wouldn't make any sense.
So now his argument becomes, it was too hard for God to explain to them that hymens don't always break when you lose their virginity.
Know how many women were sleeping? This is to keep them from being able to sleep around, because there's a punishment for this. The law was put in place as a deterrer of prostitution, because if you slept around and that thing did not break, it was a major evidential piece in discourse that you were not a virgin.
Here he goes, just saying the same stupid thing over and over again, which is why I kept conceding, because he just keeps, like I said. And also, again, that's the whole point. No, it is not a good point of evidence, because, as you admitted earlier, not all women bleed when they lose their virginity, so it's not a good evidence. That's literally my whole point.
So if you were not a virgin because that mug has been toyed with, or you've been pushing around in that thing and it's got a little stretchiness to it, so it ain't gonna break during this piece, you would be tried on trial first. They wasn't instantaneously put to death. They were tried in a trial with a judge, and then there was a conclusion to be found. Because again, they don't have this forensic evidence. So even if God told them about this, can you explain to me how they're going to be able to prove these things? Because the Talmud, their law, had a lack of scientific evidence because they don't have modern day science like we do.
Again, acting like God isn't all-knowing. I guess God is limited to, his knowledge is limited to the time period he's in, too. If he was in the dinosaur age, he would have been as dumb as a caveman, I guess.
You're coming again from a Western understanding of science to a group that does not have this level of science, and then trying to say it's God's fault for explaining to a people a way that they could understand. I'm not going to talk to a baby and explain to a baby how planes fly when a baby doesn't even have any understanding of what the hell a plane is. Repeat to me what I said. Still man everything I just said. And this to tell me if you're listening. Show the whole crowd. Show the whole crowd that you listened to everything I said. Steel man it.
Not basically.
There's no contradiction in anything I'm saying. I said steel man what I said. I didn't say make a claim and an accusation against what I'm saying. I said steel man me. You know what steel manning is in a debate? Since you're debating me now and this is not a no longer conversation. You know what steel manning is? Do you know what steel manning is? Brother, it's as simple as me removing you.
So you see, I've noticed this with Christians, like Eli and this idiot. They're the dumbest people in the room. They're always acting like they're smarter than everybody else. And also, at this point, this is the point where I got tired of his crap, and I just told him, blank you. But I didn't say blank. I'm sure you guys can guess what I said. I just said blank you. Remove me then. I don't care, because at this point, I was just getting tired of being blatantly lied to, just blatantly what's it called, gaslighted. I get, man, it's like if I would have told him 2 + 2 is 4, he would have said no to that too. Like, it's just clear to me at this point that there was no getting to him. No matter what I said, no matter how much evidence I would have brought to him, it just wouldn't matter. He just would have said nuh-uh, just like Eli did. So at this point, I just said blank you, remove me then, and yeah.
Either you engage, but don't even know the actual scientific studies about the woman's body. The reason why I don't like talking about a woman's body or specific woman topics with men is because you're not a woman. And even me as a man, I don't understand how a woman's body works completely. So I go to the research. I would rather talk to a woman and understand her perspective of disagreeing with what I'm saying because she's an actual woman and could tell me her personal experience versus listening to a man. That's kind of the problem with all this abortion and all these rights stuff going on right now. Because it's a bunch of men. This is how our modern day government and society has worked, and including the ancient societies too. It's a bunch of men making decisions on behalf of women that they do not understand because they're not a woman. So when you're a man, please be very careful to stop talking about women topics because you don't know anything about a woman from a personal experience, or especially if you don't have an educational experience on the backdrop, because it is irritating to me as a male who has had all sisters growing up and who is married to a woman and who is having a daughter to listen to stupid men talk about women's bodies when they don't know anything about a woman's body, not even on a scientific level. It's delusional, it's stupid, and it's patronizing, it's condescending, and you're doing the exact things that women complain about. You're being a man and trying to talk about a woman's body and want to have an argument with another man that isn't a woman about a woman. That's stupid. Go talk to the women. I thought you was a woman because your voice.
I'm saying, bro, he had all the women in the chat crashing out.
Like, what?
Yeah, I just think like,
talk to me.
First, y'all agree with your prompt, but I just think it's like people who try to come up and argue these type of topics it's just like never gonna
I gotta
end
point
up
this out.
getting anywhere.
I got to point this out. You're a Christian and you're pro-choice. I didn't say anything about being pro-choice. The only thing I said was stop being men that are trying to make decisions for women when you don't have the experience of a woman or the knowledge about how a woman's body works. If you have the knowledge about how a woman's body works, or if you are a woman with the experience and have the knowledge, that's different. I didn't say anything about being pro-choice or pro-life. I didn't. That's political garbage that I can care less about. All life matters to me. So again, let's go ahead, Blitz.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm just
I had
saying
to point
like
that out. Sorry.
the topics they bring up are just like so like first it's not even in line with your prompt. It's like so you bring up like hymens when it's like obviously this is like a cultural normative type of thing. Like in the same sense, it's like it's obviously a norm that men ejaculate, but unfortunately there's some men who can't ejaculate, right? So,
Erectile dysfunction. Can't even get it up. This is for
Yeah,
educational purposes. TikTok, don't ban none of us.
yeah, so it's like if there's a law that says if a man like it's about a men ejaculating, obviously, in a sense, there's some men who can't do this. That doesn't mean that it's not a normative thing.
On a so when God is giving a normative rule, he's not excluding the abnormal. He's talking to a group of people who don't even know about this abnormality because they're not developed far enough. Yeah, what's up, Astro?
You ever watch Little Man?
Yeah.
Cooking with a wet noodle.
Cooking with a wet noodle.
That's that.
A lot of points out like when I hear people just bring up like firstly like people try to make moral judgments on the character of God. I just say like so ultimately like bringing up different scriptures is gonna just end up like on an interpretation of opinion like type of thing. Is gonna be like their opinion, like they think this verse makes the character of God flawed in some way. But I could say we have an appeal to like firstly biblical theology or like the main message of the Bible, which is like God's love. He so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, like as a gift.
If you're a disagreeer, please request
for salvation, right?
And if you're a disagreeer in the request box, let us know. You can keep talking. I'm just talking to where they can hear me.
I'm just saying like so for people who try to make like objections, right? So you can clearly see from external to like even being a Christian, the main message of the Bible is God's love, right? And if you compare this to like a religion,
I gotta put a tank top on.
it's good.
It's hot in my room.
So I'm just gonna use an example. Like if you compare like a religion like Aleister Crowley's religion, Thelema, the main message of that religion is not the love of God. It isn't that we have intrinsic value. The main message of Thelema, Aleister Crowley's religion, is do as thou wilt, which has nothing to do with providing rights for anybody on a specific level. It's just saying do as thou wilt. So I mean, if you're gonna come up and be so disingenuous